This is a moving train, and it ain't stopping for nobody. It's up to us to figure out how to get on this train, or we're going to get left behind. And it's basically, and it's cut and dry, and it's pretty simple. And it's bringing out some things about America that we thought may have disappeared. But in reality, we find out that it is not gone anywhere. It just went underground. And now that we are seeing it come out, we have to do something about it. We have to do a lot about it. As a culture of people, we are doomed to perish if we don't get something following in our direction to make us who we really are. Today, we want to talk about something that's really bothering this country and making this country look really bad across the world. There has been a flip-flop of information, over 13 flip-flops on tariffs. And that is what we're dealing with right now. And when you got that many flip-flops on tariffs, then you're going to have such a problem here in America that you are not going to be able to deal with easily. So today's show is about preparing for the tariff takeover, because that's what we're facing. And if you don't think these tariffs are going to affect you, just look at what's missing off the shelf when you walk in there today. We don't want a repeat of what happened during COVID, where we got to go out and stockpile on toilet paper, or we don't want to have to make sure our tanks are dead full every time we park our car. We want to find ways to maneuver ourselves through this society tariff situation and the flip-flops that we have to flip-flop with in order to survive. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting the news and information from a Black perspective. We do not own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. And if you don't see us on YouTube, you can definitely see us on Facebook at The War Report. We are now trying to get into Instagram, so look on Instagram, all the social media platforms. We're working on our TikTok presence. We're going to get there. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe to the Black News Network, BNN 247. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to some and present to others my co-host and friend, Mr. Claude Foster. And I want to thank him for being part of the Black News Network. Welcome, Mr. Claude.
Hey, good afternoon, my brother. Glad to be with you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon to talk about an issue that, just like all the issues out there, anytime there's an issue, when America catches a cold, we catch the flu. And in dealing with these tariffs, we may be in for another roller coaster ride when it comes to having the least amount of residual income.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna get ate up, ain't it?
Go in and buy our way out of this. Yeah. And so it's a relevant subject. It's a good subject to talk about, and I look forward to the conversation today.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Claude. This is something that we really don't want to pay attention to. We kind of ignore it, but it's coming to us whether we like it or not. And I like what Mr. Claude just said. When America catches a cold, Black America catches the flu. So we're going to have it double down on us. Even though it is double down on us, don't think we're as worst as it gets. There are other people or other cultures that catch it more than us. That includes when it comes to the layoffs. That includes when it comes to the retail, wholesale. We're not the business owners out here struggling to get supplies from China. We're not those people. We don't own anything, as we know. And when I say that we don't own anything, I don't mean it carte blanche. I mean, We do own some things, but these big retailers like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, that get all these appliances and other items from overseas, they catching hell. And what you think they're gonna do? They're gonna give it to us. On February 7th, 2025, that's when our current president announced sweeping tariffs across all countries that do business with the United States. And on February 13th, the seated president, the same person, signed a document demanding that these countries equalize the tariff flow. Again, on March 26th, he announced a 25% tariff on cars. And why do you think he did that? Because China has an electric car that surpasses the Tesla here in America. And him and Elon Musk are like two peas in a pod. You know, they wrapped around the same ankle or the same axle together. And you can see what the responses were when he announced that 25% tariff. Everywhere you looked on the news, you were seeing the Tesla car lots getting vandalized. You were seeing them set on fire. You were seeing the cars being mutilated. You were seeing all this stuff that was happening to the Tesla operation. And a Tesla operation is the very reason we received that 25% tariff. Now, that 25% tariff on cars really didn't have a domino effect on us yet. I mean, you still could buy a car at a regular price, at a regular APR, without having to worry within a few weeks. But everything went from, during the Bill Clinton era, it went from having a warehouse full of automotive supplies and parts sitting on the shelf. It went to what they call the JIT, just-in-time delivery. So everything in manufacturing in America is done by, not everything, but at least 90% of everything is done by JIT, just-in-time delivery. So if I'm going to install the axles on a car tomorrow, then those axles are going to arrive from the manufacturer, which may be in Mexico, or it may be even in Canada. It may be even in China on one of those vessels coming across the ocean. You don't know, but it's not here. It's not at the end manufacturer. It's not at the end assembly line. So when those ships stop sailing, when they stop getting offloaded at those ports in Long Beach and San Diego and anywhere else they may have ports, in Corpus Christi, in along the coast in Gulf of Mexico, you're not going to see your parts. You're not going to see the trucks delivering those parts. You're not going to see the parts to get your cars off the ground. It's going to be a problem. And what's going to happen? Who's going to get charged that 25%? Claude, what do you think?
Well, it's definitely going to have an impact across the board with Black America. You know, I mean, we struggle in normal times, and when you look at the businesses, type business, you know, Walmart's not going to absorb them costs. A microwave that used to cost you $75 probably going to cost you $125. You know, I mean, Walmart's not going to eat that, so that's going to be on the consumer end.
And right now, you hear the prices already going up in Walmart.
The last hired fire. So, we're the last hired and first fired. So when you look at a lot of these companies, when you look at the places where we are employed, that these tariffs impact, who you think gonna wind up on the dole first? Black people. So Black people are gonna be hurt across the board. Black small businesses can't afford to pay them kind of tariffs on them goods coming from those container ships. Gonna sit in the port, or they're never gonna leave the country of origin. So it's gonna have a definitely broad impact on Black America.
Okay, so before we really dive into tariffs, I want to explain how tariffs work. I'm going to put up a view graph so you can see what we're talking about, how tariffs works. So, according to this chart, country B towels sell for $12 in country A, but country B makes the towels and they can sell those same towels for $10 in their own country. So if Donald Trump puts a 20% tariff on those $10 towels that are going to get shipped to the USA, then when that towel makes it to the USA, rather than that we getting that towel for $10, which is what it actually costs from the country of origin, we are paying that 20% tariff on that particular item. Now multiply that by 1,000,000 items. So every single thing is going to go up in price. And it's not going to the government. It's a way for a government to make money, because the tariffs ain't got nothing to do with the cost of the item. It's got something to do with the profit of the item. So
now we're corrected. We're corrected. The tariff is paid to the income. The tariff is paid to, like in the case of America, the companies pay the tariff to America.
Right. To send their item there, right?
Huh?
How can they pay the tariff to America?
The additional the tariff, the fee is paid to the U.S. government.
If it's paid to the U.S. government, then where does the retailer come in and make it, raising the prices and making the consumer pay the additional costs? How does that work?
Because the retailer pays more. The retailer is paying more. So somebody's got to eat that cost.
It's the retailer.
Not going to eat it.
The retailer eats it first.
No, but he's not going to eat it. He's going to raise his prices. Now, the big corporations, the big companies, they can eat it. You know, they may say, okay, we get out, like Walmart gets their sales by volume. Like probably Walmart every 1 out of 3 shoppers goes to Walmart. So they sell by volume. So maybe they can eat it at first. But a small mom and pop, or a small to medium sized company, they don't sell by volume. So they're not going to.
I'm confused though, Claude. I mean, you said it's not. You're saying if the item costs $10 in China, right?
Right.
And China decides to send those items to the U.S. at a 25% tariff, it's going to have to charge $12 for that item to send it to the U.S. So the government ain't paying that $2 for that item.
No, not
the retailer is paying that $2 for that item.
To the U.S. Treasury.
Huh?
But they're paying, the retailer is paying it to the U.S. Treasury.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. The retailer is paying it to the government. Right. And so in order for the retailer to recoup their money, they're going to take that $2 that they just paid to the government, and they're going to put that $2 onto that item and charge it to you, so they can recoup the money that they just paid to the federal government.
Right.
So everything that they pay is a profit for everybody except for the consumer.
Right.
Except for the end user. Huh?
It's not just the consumer, it's everybody in that food chain. It's the person that got the job that may be laid off as a result of the tariffs. It's the higher cost of goods as a result of the tariffs. Like I say, a Walmart or Target or something, they may be able to eat the cost because they deal in volume. But the mom and pop, the everyday small business, they can't eat that cost because their sales are not based on volume.
And on top of that,
the irony is, before China or Korea or whoever would ship those goods, they got to pay that additional cost before those container ships even leave.
They won't even let them unload in the docks.
Right.
They can't even dock the ship unless it's all paid for. The money has to be there before the product gets there. And then if you're a small retailer and you can't afford to have your items shipped from China and have to pay that retailer, have to pay the government that tariff fee before you get your items and charge it to the consumer, you can't afford to do that as a small retailer, a small wholesaler, or a small retailer. You're going to end up not buying the bulk that you used to buy because you cannot afford to pay the tariffs to the government.
Right.
Even though you're going to charge it to your consumer to get it back, you ain't got that type of buffer in between paying for those tariffs and waiting for the consumer to buy your item.
Right.
And then you're not sure that consumer is going to buy your item at the new price that you just put on that item. That consumer been coming to your store for 20 years and they've been buying particular items. Let's say bananas. I remember not even 5 years ago, bananas were 37 cents a pound. Now you buying bananas for what, 65 cents a pound? And 90% of the bananas ain't grown here in this country. Probably no bananas are grown here in this country. All bananas are brought from abroad. So each banana got a tariff on it that you pay for at the end of the line. And so that actual banana technically being worth a dime end up costing you 60% more.
Huh? And Social Security and benefits are not tied to tariffs costs,
And none of that stuff moves with inflation. Right. That's why people like our topic last week, that is why people are being denied services now when you go to the emergency room or go on your appointments. You cannot be seen because they can't, the inflation is not being matched with the cost of the product. In other words, the government sets these prices at the beginning of the year, and those are the prices for the year. But during the year, these same services, all the product that goes into that particular service, then went up. The tariff went up on it, huh?
One of the things I've noticed, and maybe you guys have noticed in San Antonio, is an increase in the number of panhandlers on the street corners begging for money. Have you noticed it?
Yeah, I mean,
down here it's been an increase. I don't know whether you've noticed it up there, but
I have.
Yeah,
it's a new business out there, and everybody thinks they can go out and be a panhandler now.
Well, I just think it's a direct cost of prices going up.
Prices going up.
Yeah.
You remember how much $100 used to buy you groceries for the week if you're a family of four?
Yeah, you used to need a cart to take $100 worth of groceries to the car. Now you can do it.
You get 3-4 bags.
Yeah.
You don't get what you paid for. It doesn't make sense to me though for us to have to keep paying what we're paying. And this whole war on tariffs is a war that didn't start for a reason.
Well,
what reason did it start?
Well, it started because all the jobs of American manufacturing and companies took their jobs because of, now you could say it's the unions, it's because of high salaries, it's because of minimum wage laws or whatever. But the oligarchs, the business people, the ones that own all these corporations and stuff, took their shit overseas. It's cheaper to make it
get a cheaper product
and bring it back to the United States. What the tariffs are trying to do is bring the jobs back, bring those companies back.
All right, what I've seen the most of is those A-frames for every car. The A-frame is being built in Mexico. Not every car, but the majority of our American car A-frames are being built in Mexico. I see train loads of these chassis coming from Mexico to America, going to our car manufacturers.
Why aren't they made in America?
That's a good question, because you can make a chassis in Mexico.
Because the person making the chassis in Mexico is probably making $2 an hour, and the person making the chassis in the United States probably would demand
$25, $30 an hour
or more.
And
That's
look
why they
at the
want to
car
just.
manufacturing industry. Look how much money they make per hour. They making bank. They ain't making $2 and $3 an hour.
But
They making more than $20
what's
an
the
hour.
trade-off from that? America has the highest standard of living than any country in the world
Hmm.
because
But they
economic.
have the poorest standard of living too.
Well, the gap between the haves and the have-not is the greatest of anywhere
Hmm.
probably in any other industrialized country. But that's what the administration is trying to do. They're trying to force businesses to bring the jobs back, and that's why Trump took all those 100 business people of all these different corporations with him to get deals made with those corporations so they can be incentivized to bring their businesses back to America
Hmm.
because the profits they're gonna make.
But just be real though, Claude. How long? Let's pick an item and say how long would it take to stand up a manufacturing company for that particular item?
But how long did it take them to leave? I mean, I don't know.
Overnight. Overnight. Look how quick they closed down Detroit. Detroit is a epitome of what tariffs have done when people start outsourcing.
But who took the automotive industry overseas?
The oligarchs, man, the people with the money,
Right,
because they wanted more money. They
right.
found that paying all these people in Detroit, Michigan, at the big three car dealers or car manufacturers, they figured they could save $1 trillion a year by outsourcing the chassis
Well,
to
but did they
Mexico.
do that? But did they do that to be more competitive? Because other countries can make a product cheap. If
It
another
ain't about
country can
being
make a product,
competitive.
if another country can make a product for a dime and sell it to America, and in America you make it for $1, you can't survive.
Mm.
That country that can make it for a dime is gonna run you out of business.
It ain't
That's
no
why they
different
go.
than the drug deal. It's the
Well,
exact same thing. To keep it simple, it's just like a drug deal. And if you
right.
go in cocaine, when the people who make the cocaine, they get paid pennies on a dollar for kilos of
I
cocaine.
mean, there are some things that you can't import. Like there are certain
Mm.
things that are made in America that are grown in America that ain't grown nowhere else in the world. Like
Like
the
what?
Idaho potato, you can only get in Idaho, right?
Yeah, you ain't gonna get no Idaho potato in
And
Korea.
Thailand, Thailand don't grow Idaho potatoes. So there
Yeah.
are certain things that are safe. I'm just saying
Uh-huh.
that. I'm just saying that one of the things you're seeing in government now, and people are going to hate me for saying this. Trump is the first businessman you've ever had as president.
Mhm.
He's the first businessman.
And you consider a businessman with 100 failed businesses a businessman?
It doesn't matter how many businesses he has.
He claims to be a businessman.
Well, let me ask you a question. And I'm
Mhm.
not I'm not defending
Come
Trump
on
as a
with it.
person.
Come on
I'm
with it.
saying that he is the first businessman. Forget about the failures and the successes. But
Okay.
is he or is he not the first businessman that's been president?
Well, he ain't the first person to own a company or a business. Look at the Bushes.
The Bushes own the baseball team.
They own oil.
That's not
Those are
really a business.
oil companies.
That's
That's
not
the
really a
very
business.
reason we had 911
Well,
because
that's
of
not
their
really. But
failed
that's not really a
business
business.
ventures with Saddam Hussein
Well, where did you go and buy
and
oil?
Osama bin Laden.
Where did you go
Huh?
and buy oil from the Bushes at?
Beg your pardon?
Where did you go buy Bush oil from?
What do you think? Who you think own all these oil
No,
fields
I'm just
down
saying.
here in South
I mean,
Texas?
but I could say, well, have you ever stayed in a Trump hotel? That's a business. A business is something that
Uh,
you own that people associate
you
with.
don't think oil fields are a business?
Well, I don't. I never bought Trump. I've never bought
You
Bush
heard of
oil.
Brown and Root? You heard of Dick Cheney?
No, but
He's
Dick
the
Cheney
owner
didn't.
of Brown and Root.
No, he was the chairman of the board of Brown and Root. He didn't
Now
own
he
Brown and Root.
owned
No, he did
Brown
not.
and Root. Dick Cheney made more money
Keep
than
talking. I'll look
anybody
at
in
it.
Brown and Root
Keep talking.
as
I'll
a
look at
vice
it.
president, as a vice president or a presidential advisor.
Okay,
I don't
that's
even know what
different than the
position he was in.
ownership. That's different than the person owning it.
So what we're
But
talking
my point.
about though is
But my point is, when we
American
talk about.
companies that are affected by these tariffs
But what I'm saying is, why did companies leave this country?
because it was cheaper to manufacture items in other countries. You know why? It's the same thing. You look for the cheapest work that you can find. Most people that, like, let's say homeowners, we go to Home Depot to find people in the parking lot to come do our yard work or to come build something real quick for one day. We know we can get that on the price, but we ain't gonna go to no bathroom remodeling company to pay $8,000 when we can get somebody at the parking lot to do it for $1,000.
So what policy would force those companies to come back other than tariffs?
Nothing. That's the only thing you got is tariffs. But you can't strong arm other countries into doing it your way without negotiations. But when Trump come out and say it is mandatory that you're going to pay a 25% tariff for us to receive those goods from you, what's to stop them from saying, okay, no problem. It's a mandatory thing for us to receive your goods into our country. It's a 25% tariff. So offset each other. And you still right back where you started. So every time he goes and double downs on tariffs, look at what they do. We got more to lose. We stand more to lose by him doubling down on China than China doubling down on us. We get way more imports from China than they get from us. It's a wash. I mean, it doesn't make sense for us to create these fights on stuff we know we cannot win.
Let me correct you though. We get a lot of stuff that are manufactured on our behalf that are owned by American companies from China. So it ain't like
that's right.
So it ain't. So what the policy is trying to do is force those companies, instead of having their shit made in China for 2 cents a day or hour, bring those jobs back to America, pay people a decent wage,
and get it made for $25 a day.
Well, that's greed though.
That's all it's about, greed. What else is it about? Trump is the most greedy, ambitious person you ever seen in business.
How does that
He all about money.
How does that affect him?
How does that affect Trump?
He's trying to get the corporations to bring the jobs back to America, I guess.
You can't tell me Trump ain't double or quadruple his money since he been in the presidency. His son-in-law, Jason Kushner, just got a $2 billion contract with the Saudis to do some bullshit consulting overseas.
I'm sure.
Qatar talking about giving him this airplane.
Well, I'm not talking about that.
Qatar giving this airplane, what do you think they want? They're not just going to give him that airplane and not want something in return. You got him on the hook now. You done gave him $1 billion airplane, and you think he's just going to walk away without doing anything? He's going to make some kind of concession for that airplane. He has to. That's quid pro quo, bro. It don't change. These people are greedy, and they are not going to give up.
But we don't have tariffs against Saudi Arabia, do we?
We don't have what?
Do we have
Probably
tariffs?
not. We don't have them against Israel either that I know of.
Right.
I mean, we're asking.
We got them with China. We got them with Vietnam. We got them with all these places that produce American goods for $1 on a dime, for a dime on a dollar. That corporations have set up their factories in Mexico and in Korea and Vietnam, get their products made cheaply, and then sell it to you in America for top dollar. And pay.
Look at we were talking about the prices earlier.
Isn't that what the tariffs are designed to correct that imbalance?
The tariffs are designed to balance the imbalance, but when you abuse the tariffs, when you abuse what's happening with the tariffs, you're not fixing anything. You're doubling down on stupidity. You're trying to strong arm people. Look how you have alienated Canada into selling liquor from America. They've taken many brands of liquor off the shelf now.
Okay, he went overboard. I mean, they can't manage all the tariffs that they, the number of countries that they put tariffs on. I mean, they did this blanket thing. You see, they pulled back on a lot of them.
Oh, that wasn't all. He said that on March 27, he announced that the auto tariffs were permanent, and then not even 3 days later, he flip-flopped on that and said we're going to negotiate.
But so we're
April
talking about
3rd and
that.
4th, Trump changed mandatory tariffs to negotiated tariffs, and he
Right.
has yet to negotiate a single tariff. He's making it sound like him and China got together and they agreed that they're going to do ABC, but in reality, China let him know that you can't win. This is
So
one of
we
them
haven't.
fights you cannot win. You're
So
a
we haven't.
one-man army fighting against a nation, and you are not going to beat them at their own game. They've been doing this for 60 years.
Yeah.
You just now getting into the game, and you ain't in the game more than a year. You ain't been in the office but 100 days, and you got 148 executive orders,
Well, we'll
which are
see.
all just an order that can be changed if
And
when
we'll
the
see
next
whether or not
president
it
comes.
forces these companies to build factories back in the United States. To invest back in the Rust Belt.
You can't just build a company overnight and turn that over to America. Ain't not you take I mean one item. Let's say Levi jeans built in Taiwan or one of those
I think they
countries
built in Vietnam. I mean,
or
I think they built
Vietnam.
in Vietnam.
You can't build a Levi's Strauss or I don't know if it's Levi Strauss anymore. You can't build a Levi's jean company here in America and hire enough employees to supply America with Levi jeans at $2.25 an hour.
Right.
You're going to be paying everybody 15, 25, $60 an hour to work at this factory. So what's the price? Where will Levi jeans make their money? They're not. The jeans are going to stop selling. The only people going to buy those jeans are people with that type of disposable income, where they at one time paying, right now a pair of jeans costs you $40, but to move that manufacturing here, it's going to cost you $85 to $100 to buy a pair of damn jeans.
Well, I always say that I mean, there's a ceiling. I mean, America may be able to sell a pair of jeans to an American for a higher price, but they're not going to be able to sell a pair of jeans for $60 in some other country. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that the pressure, there is a ceiling on what people will spend. America's got what, 300 some million people?
345 million.
But
if people pay $1,000 for a handbag, what makes you think they won't pay $100 for a pair of Levi jeans?
And some people will. It'll become a class thing, just like.
But it'll be. What did you say? Something you said something earlier about us having to buying these items, right? To be more white or something here in America. What is it you said about being more white?
My framework comes from Francis Fallon. I mean, many of the listeners may be familiar with his book on black skin, white
Wilson, Dr. Francis Wilson.
We don't have America doesn't have a class structure. We don't have kings and queens. You're not born into royalty. Our position in society determines our status in society. So if you can afford
decide about how much money we make.
Right. So if you can afford
the color of your skin.
If you got a $3,000 purse, or you drive a Mercedes, or you especially if it's new and this latest thing, your status is enhanced in America because that separates you from everybody else.
Because he's driving a Mercedes.
Because we don't have kings and queens, man. So our status is based on what neighborhood you live in. If you live in the suburbs versus you live in the inner city, that puts you in a different class. And race is a class factor in this country. I mean, the whiter you are, the lighter you are, the more you are at the top of that food chain.
The more opportunities you can have, you will have.
You can have. So you either get those by birth, by natural birth, whether you're Hispanic, which tends to be a lighter class, Asians, which tend to be a lighter class, or African Americans, and we got all colors in between, but there's still that ceiling. And so we're a colonized kind of people. We've been colonized. So
who's going to buy? Who's going to continue to buy? These $1,000 purses now are going to cost $2,000. So
But
for
people,
let's say I do get the opportunity to buy a $2,000 purse, right?
no, the class structure.
Well,
I
let
was
me
in.
ask you a question.
I
Help
was
me
in.
with this question.
I was in the Galleria.
Mhm.
All those stores. All those boutique stores that got the guards in front of the door because people are lining up to go in and buy those kind of purses. Them guards are still there. Them stores are still there. They haven't gone away. There will always be a market for class because class is status.
I agree.
Because this is America.
Hmm.
There will always be a market. The problem is it ain't that the market is different. It's the fact that how greedy those oligarchs are. How much money do they want to make? They have the stuff made overseas for $300. They're selling it for $3,000. Is that a reasonable profit?
Hmm. So how you gonna change that imbalance with a tariff? The only thing you're gonna do is create a division from that country to this one.
The tariffs it affects more industries than just purses. I mean, that's just one.
Yeah, of course it does. It affects every industry.
It affects automotive. It affects produce. It affects I mean, there are certain things that sitting in a container ship. If it don't get loaded to a truck and get to the market, that whole truck's gonna spoil.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens when it goes to the port, and then the people working at the port decide to go on strike and leave it there because they don't feel they're getting paid enough. But see, now you run it. What's happening here? You running up a situation in my mind. America is running up a situation where everything's going to come to a screeching halt because nobody will be willing to take the loss on higher tariffs. Not the country that's sending it to America, not the people that are receiving it in America. People would rather shut down their businesses than to allow that tariff to dictate the prices that they're going to charge their consumers. I've looked at a couple of shows and a couple of warehouses, and these warehouses are not as full as they used to be. This JIT stuff, this just-in-time stuff, don't work anymore because you ain't made the money to pay for your items to come to your warehouse the way they used to come just in time because you can't pay the tariffs now. Well, I know you're working on a shoestring budget, whether it's $1 million budget or $100 budget.
Well, I think corporate America realized what was happening because I don't know whether I know in San Antonio out there on I-10 they built some pretty big warehouse spaces, right? Huge, right? I mean, what do you think going in those warehouses? Mm-hmm. So I think they anticipated this. I think that they knew this was coming.
So this has been in the making for a while. Is that what you're saying?
Well, my theory was like here in Houston, since they was building so many, because they're deepening the ship channel so they can take bigger ships, so they can bring in bigger container ships, and so that's why I thought they was building them here. But they're building them in San Antonio. Ain't no port near San Antonio. So I think the powers to be knew this was coming. I mean, I don't think the tariffs was just appear. I think corporations, the big ones at least.
You don't think Donald Trump just pulled something out of his butt and said we're going to do tariffs and we're going to knock tariffs, make everybody pay equal share.
Well, having worked in government, I just never known government to operate like that quickly.
Well, working in government and managing government is a different thing. Donald Trump manages the government.
But I do agree that tariffs is going to have a disproportionate, just like everything else, a disproportionate impact on the African American community across the board. We've been struggling all along anyway. So to raise the prices on us, we just know how to go get a can of sardines and feed a family of four, rather than go and get those pork chops that we used to get to feed a family of four. No, you don't do that no more. That's back in the day.
We don't do that in our eyes, but I guarantee you there are people doing it.
No, ain't nobody.
There are people eating like that right now. In Mississippi, every month they're sending out commodity boxes to people that don't have jobs. And they don't have jobs because everybody can't drive no tractor. Everybody don't live on the farm. So these people in these little small rural communities that I know of receive commodity boxes from the government.
You can't take racism out of the equation for Mississippi. I mean,
From anywhere.
Mississippi been ran by white Republicans. I
Yeah.
don't think the Democrats have ever had control of that state.
Only time they had a change in that is when they passed the the 13th Amendment, no, the 15th Amendment, the Voting Rights Amendment.
Up until the 60s, until Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, they used to be all Democrats down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, it became all Republican. But right there in Jackson, you would think that in the capital city, that state legislature and everybody would be concerned about the image of its capital city. And what do? They create a Capitol Police to patrol the police grounds, keep black folks away. The sewage treatment systems. I mean, you would think that they would want
garbage disposal system has failed.
Right. So you would think that they would want Jackson at least to be successful, but they don't.
No, they want to drive black people out of Jackson. That's what they want to do. They put the Capitol Police over the city police, over the Jackson Police Department. They put the Capitol Police over them, and then they appointed white judges to be over the
municipal judges to be over the city
municipal judges.
Right?
Ain't that
Crazy.
something? That's just telling you what this is all about. These tariffs is just a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
That to turn America upside down and inside out on what's happening here. Why is it that Donald Trump think that going out announcing 155% tariff on China would do something positive for America? This is just ridiculous. It is no thought behind his 148 executive orders. There's no thought behind it. It's him saying, I'm going to make this happen. And he makes it happen. And nobody in Congress says anything.
Well, that's because the Republicans are in charge of both houses.
But still, some of the things that he's doing just doesn't make any sense. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene right now.
They're starting to push
back. I don't want to get off subject, but I'm going to say this. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene right now. She's advocating for the guy who killed George Floyd to get out of jail on parole. That's what she's doing. Now, this is an avid Trump supporter. But this whole tariff situation, how is it going to change what you and I want to do here in America? Let's say, will I go to Walmart or HEB or Albertson or Kroger's and spend $200 every week or every other week on groceries? Or do I say I'm not going to keep buying all this stuff and throwing this food away? Because right now we buy a lot of things that we don't even use. We buy them because we like them and we may play with them for a week or two and then we're done. We forget about it. And we wasted all that money on this stuff that we ain't never going to consume. We ain't never going to use. And we had no use for it to start with. We just bought it because we liked the way it looked. So our spending habits is what's important right now. And if we don't change some of our spending habits, we are going to have a bigger problem than what we got in our Black communities. Because the money that we call residual income or disposable income ain't disposable anymore. It's going towards the items that are necessary for us to live that used to be a lot cheaper. And right now it's not that way. We're spending too much money.
But you think the tariffs are going to force Black people to change their lifestyle? No. Just like gas prices didn't change Black people from getting on the highways. I think, in just my opinion, I think the gas prices started to go up 30 years ago to get less people on the highways, to make more people get off the highway. Because you've seen it as well as I. Everywhere you go in America, there's road construction, highway, or interstate construction. Mm-hmm. So how do you get people off the highway? You increase the price of gasoline so people can't afford to drive.
can't afford to go nowhere, cruise down the highway just to go cruising. They can't do
But
that no more.
it's the gasoline tax that gives the government the money to fix the roads.
It's a lot of money involved.
Right. So they
Those
want to
prices are where
discourage
they
it.
are, in my opinion, just to get fewer people on the road. And look at Tesla coming out with these cars that you have to go to a charging station in order to charge that car. But why is it that I can take my car, my gasoline car, and drive it down the road and it'll charge my battery that's in my gasoline car? What happened with the technology of how this works when it came to Teslas? Did they forget a major section of technology and not put recharging abilities in these cars when they started to manufacture these cars? But now you have to go, if you're driving somewhere across country in a Tesla, you got to find you a charging station somewhere all the way
The
through.
car got the technology in it. They tell you where the charging stations are.
Yeah, okay, so they're telling you where they are, but the bottom line is you got to sit there until your car charge, which can take what, from 15 to 45 minutes to an hour that you got to waste every 200-300 miles to charge your car. But see, the same car that's coming from China, that caused us to have this 150% tariff on automobiles, the only thing you do with those cars, you drive into a battery station, and within 3 minutes, that battery station will take your old battery out of your battery operated car and put a new battery in there, and you're on your way in 3 minutes. All you got to do is drive in there, and it's so automated that it takes control of your car. You put your car in a particular position, it takes control of the car, pulls your car in and changes the battery, and then you don't have to even get out your car. You go on about your way. But here, you got to get out your car, see if this power station works, because they don't all work. You get that thing.
Well, you may have just explained that the Elon Musk and Donald Trump connection. That may
Absolutely. And why do you think Elon Musk got the biggest battery plant in the world in China? Because he already know that they got a better product than he does. But he was too far into his product than to change the concept in America. He had everybody's mindset on Teslas. So why would he go and say, oh, we're not going to do Teslas like this no more? We're going to change it, so we're going to do battery power stations. The wheel was going too fast for him to pull back on it. And then why did he come into the White House and get rid of everybody that was managing the SpaceX program so he can get his SpaceX program? And so the whole system, the entire process of Elon Musk being at the White House has been about money, greed, and greed go together. And you can't tell me Donald Trump ain't the greediest man in America right now. He is the greediest man in America, and he does the most under the table schemes that any president has ever done in history, except for that one president that was elected after Johnson, who took over after Lincoln. Because what that one president, I can't think of his name.
Which one?
He rolled back the 40 acres in a mule program and caused us to give that land that we had confiscated from the white Southerners, the Confederates, he made us give it back.
Right.
And then he did the second worst thing he did was to move the Union soldiers out of the South. He moved them out. And that way he gave the same people that we were just at war with the opportunity to go right back to what they were doing to black people. And he said that this is a white America. And he said there's no law on the books that for a black man that a white man has to respect. So by him doing all of this stuff, he rolled back the country right where they wanted it. And that left room for the Trumps, the Rockefellers, the Kennedys, and all these other oligarch names that we know of to put this country in the position it's in right now. And it's all about colonization, like you said earlier. And because it's about colonization, nothing that don't make money, it makes sense to them. If it ain't making money for them, it don't make sense. Why is Donald Trump now hosting the PGA green jacket at Mar-a-Lago this year or next year? I don't know when it is, but he got the contract. He's the president. He should not be doing it. Why did he, in his first term, why did he take $1 billion and sink it into his Trump Tower in New York City? Why did he do that? Taxpayer money restored his building to the best secured building in the world. Privately owned building, for that matter. Mm-hmm. So it's all about this tariff situation. It's all about them making more money, perpetual money that can last for the next 100 generations for them. And it's all about us struggling to decide if we want to move up in status by buying a Lexus or buying a Genesis or buying a Mercedes or buying $1,000 purse. When a woman walks into Walmart with $1,000 purse on their arm and house shoes, what are you thinking? Why would this woman pay $1,000 for this pocketbook and come out in public in house shoes?
Why do you think?
It doesn't make any sense to me. So where the focus is, my friend, to me, is where Black people have to start learning where to spend their money and to not be spending their money on bullshit like they spending it on that don't amount to nothing. All these purses, they get this purse and wear it for 6 months or a year, maybe 2 years, and then they throw it up in the closet. And you can go get a knockoff for 1/10 the cost, and you got the same thing. But no, you don't want a knockoff, you want the real thing. But the real thing is so expensive, it doesn't make your status change. You still, if you Black, you're Black, you're Black. A purse don't change your status. A Mercedes don't change your status. Living in the suburbs don't change your status.
No, it ain't the purse, it's the name that changes your status. There's plenty of purses.
How the name change your status?
It used to be.
Well, that's what I mean, that the name brand purses.
Yeah, name brand purses. Because you can go anywhere and get a purse. Mm-hmm. Walmart sell purses.
You can get a purse out the back of somebody's car that look just like the $1,000 purses.
Well, yeah,
knockoffs.
Yeah,
they're out there. But we can't keep thinking that knockoff purse is going to give us a status. That's what I'm trying to get to. We can't keep thinking that a Mercedes is going to put us in a new category when we pull up at the club in a brand new Mercedes.
We think it gets us closer to equality, kind of like integration.
Equality to what? What are we trying to be equal to by having a Mercedes?
Who do you think we're trying to be equal to?
We can never be equal to anything but ourselves. We equal to ourselves. That's what it is to me. When it says equal, you're equal to who you are. You can't be equal to a white man, or you can't be equal to a Chinese man. You can't be equal to a Vietnamese. You're gonna only be equal to yourself. So by you buying this purse, that's the misnomer, the misconception of America that they have painted on us to make us think this is what we got to do in order to fit in their society. We can't, if we don't drive a Mercedes, you can't live out here. If you don't live in the suburbs, you can't go to this store. You can't use it. You ain't a Trader Joe's type of guy. Why? What you doing in Trader Joe's? What you doing in Whole Foods? Why are you at Ingram Park Mall? You don't. Black people don't go here. You know, what is it that makes a black person think that they need to go there. You know, a car to me, and a car that I would love for black people to understand, ain't nothing but transportation. And if it's reliable, you cannot go wrong with it. You can't go wrong. But if you think your car gives you status or moves you into a different category because you paying $1,000 a month car note and a $500 insurance note on one car, that's more stupid. I don't even want to call it stupidity, but you that's not going to put you in a different category. You still.
So why do we do it?
We do it because we've been fooled mentally. It's ingrained in our DNA that this makes us a higher class person. Higher class than what? What do you want to be higher class than? You go out and you buy a pair of shoes, right? You can go to Walmart and get a nice pair of church Sunday shoes, but you would much rather go to the mall or to the airport and pay $400 for a pair of shoes. Why?
What's that shoe store that used to sell shoes on the cheap?
Stacey Adams?
No, it was a
Not
shoe
Stacey
store.
Adams? Huh?
No, it was a shoe store. They sold cheap shoes.
I ain't never know the store to sell cheap shoes.
Oh,
The only store I know is Stacey Adams. That's one brand.
Cheap shoes, and the news media played a trick. They took down the sign of the cheap shoes signs store and put up a sign that said the cheap shoes were high dollar shoes. Mm-hmm. And the average people went in there and bought the shoes and paid the exorbitant price for the shoes that was
the same shoe.
The same shoe, but the name. They
bought the buying a name.
Status.
Hmm. So Mercedes give you status, BMW give you status, the expensive purses give you status, but what does it really give you? It really gives you debt. That's what it really gives you.
Right.
So you go into debt thinking that you are now part of the mainstream America. That's something I wanted to tell you about. We walked into a nightmare. Now, why would you want to give up your banks? We had banks, we had grocery stores, we had schools, we had plenty of money, we had land, we had movie theaters, we had doctors, dentists, offices in our communities. But we chose to give that up so we can sit at a counter with food that we don't even like. We chose to give that up to go over and pay Papa Do's.
Who led those movements back then? Who led them?
Somebody that was working for the government.
No, who did the sit-ins in North Carolina? College students. These college students. College students.
And that's another thing, Claude. Why is it we're still pushing? Why is it we're still telling our children that the only way to success in America is through education? Well, that's what we're telling our kids, right? Why is that the only way? I'm asking you that question.
Because that's what we've been taught to do. Because
what happened to when you were in high school? They had trades when you so old. When you went to high school, right?
They had carpentry. They had
me too. I had it too. I ain't gonna just call you old.
They have trades. My daughter goes. They have trades in some of the high schools. They have vet.
Oh, they do.
She goes
like what?
Yeah, she like veterinary medicine, cosmetology. They have all different kinds of trades. They still have them. Now,
but there was a period there were no trades left in school.
Here's the thing. They may not have them in inner city schools.
There you go. Okay. I would agree with you. They no longer have those trades in inner city schools.
Right.
The big schools, the schools that these inner city kids know. Huh?
Because it was us. We want intellectuals, because these were the leaders. These were the leaders.
Mm.
People with college degrees are our leaders.
Mm.
So they're pushing for that type of liberal. And who taught them? White
So
liberals.
if you got a bunch of money, you don't need a college degree.
No, you don't. You have motherfuckers with college degrees. You hire people with college degrees.
Yeah. So you get the smart people to work around you, the ones
Yeah.
that got a college degree,
Elon
that
Musk
your
don't have-
degree, and then you don't know what degree you should take because
Elon Musk don't have a college degree
and he's the richest man in the world.
in the world.
So who's to say?
I'm sure he hired a whole lot of people with college degrees.
But we go to college and we incur all this debt, just like we go buy these Mercedes and we incur all this debt because we want a better status.
Because
There's a time for everything.
we want to don that white mask, and we feel like that gets us.
What that
close,
mean? What does that mean? We want to don a white mask?
that we want to be white.
No,
Colonization.
we want to be accepted by white. As I was saying a second ago,
Indeed.
we had all this stuff. We gave it up though. Why would we give all this stuff up? We gave up everything that they had, that they have, so we can be part of what they have. Why do we need to be part of what they have?
Because we told us, because somebody told us that everything we had was inferior to what they had.
Which they control the narrative though. And they ensured that everything that we had was less than what they had.
It's more deep than that. The intellectuals of our time, the folks that were being taught at these institutions that were indoctrinated with liberal thinking, basically said that what we had was inferior.
Mm-hmm.
But
I remember the books we used to get in elementary school. When we opened, you remember you have to sign the book? Did y'all have to sign books? You open that book, you already gonna see 2 or 3 names in that book, and this is your first day of class.
Right. Whites, they were hand-me-downs from white students.
So that's another form of ensuring that nothing we received was equivalent to what they received. They got the new books and we got what they passed down.
Well, that was a dual. I mean, that was why they spent what, $2 back then. They spent $50 on a black child and $6,000 on a white child. That kind of disparity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the worst thing going right now is inheritance. We're getting to the point where black people can no longer afford to pass anything down. For every dollar we pass to the next generation, white people pass $100 down to the next generation. So we're so far out of mainstream this country, America, that the tariffs is just another form of trying to eliminate a certain. To me, the deep secret to these tariffs is to push a certain group of people into a particular zone or a particular area of existence or non-existence. In other words, if any manufacturing come back to this country, you can rest assured that it ain't no black person bringing it here. We are not doing all this. We're not part of all this. This is something that mainstream America, which when I say mainstream, I mean white America, is implementing for white America. We're the ones being released. We're not being released at the biggest numbers, but we're still being released. I mean, for every one black person that's released, 10 white people are released. So from a job. But still, that one black person controls a whole narrative of black people that are being supported by that one paycheck.
Right.
So that one family that's being released cannot perpetuate the wealth of that job to the next generation because you are being cut off from the next generation's wealth process.
Right.
You ain't gonna have nothing.
No, tariff definitely hurt the Black community in ways that it doesn't hurt other communities. Like you said, whenever America catches a cold, we catch the flu. So whatever policies that hurt America hurts us worse. I mean, climate control policies, where flooding and hurricanes and tornadoes, they tend to impact people that have the least, because they can they're least able to rebuild, least able to recover without some kind of government assistance. And the government is doing away with the agency that kind of oversaw that assistance. They had a lot of Black folks, DEI, had a lot of Black folks in that agency that were better able to understand the communities where these natural disasters impact the most. They're gone. Now it's back in the hands of Mississippi governance, Alabama governance, Georgia governance. And so what's the impact of that move on the Black community? It's going to be tremendous. So because you think the state of Mississippi, if there's a natural disaster, is going to give the attention to the Black community that they give to the white community?
Of course not.
If there's no FEMA and all the money sent directly to the state of Mississippi,
we've already seen that distribution. We've seen it happen too, Claude.
Yeah.
And tariffs ain't gonna make it no better for us.
But that policy change, I haven't seen the pushback from the Black leadership. That one impact.
What Black leadership?
The 66, 67 members of the Black caucus. That
they're too busy too busy trying to fit in.
That leadership.
They're trying to function as white folks in white America. But so they're not concerned about what our status folks are doing. The lower status Black people, they don't care what we got to deal with.
I mean, FEMA probably hired more Black folks probably than any other agency in terms of, because they wanted to represent the communities that FEMA served.
That they serve.
Right. Trump did away with that. The money's going directly to the state. That agency.
Trump did away with FEMA?
He's doing away with FEMA. The money's going to be given directly to the states. And we know some states might be fair, but states like Mississippi ain't going to be fair. States like my state of Alabama not going to probably be fair in the distribution of those, in their response to the natural disasters or what hurricanes and what have you, tornadoes. They kind of do south like.
Do you have a formula for us for it to be fair?
I don't have a formula. I think that should have been more of a fight. I think more of a political fight over the elimination of FEMA. I think there should have been I think we should have heard more debate from I think the Congressional Black Caucus needs to act as the Congressional Black Caucus and not the caucus for everybody but Black folks. I think they need to be the caucus. It's the Congressional Black Caucus. But they're out there. You see them at press conferences and stuff for everybody else and everybody else's issues. But I haven't seen them out there on just Black issues, on the impact of their policy on the Black community.
Have you seen anybody out there for just Black issues?
Well, this country ain't never passed no government policy just for Black folks. So why would Black folks be out there just for Black folks? This country have never done that. I'm saying that we as individual citizens and our listeners, we got to be a little bit more aggressive in holding our elected officials, our Black elected officials. It's called the Congressional Black Caucus. It ain't called the Congressional Diversity Caucus. It ain't called the Congressional BIPOC Caucus. It's the Congressional Black Caucus. And that should mean something.
I agree with you.
What does that mean for Black people?
I want to read something to you, and then I want you to give me your final comments after you hear this, okay?
Sure.
All right. I wrote this the last few days. It's called the American Black Proclamation. And that's the title I came up with because I wanted Black to be after American, and because Black being the prominent thing we're talking about. We, the descendants of the United States of America's slave trade, do hereby make the following proclamation. We are the birthright descendants of the United States of America's slave trade. Number 2, a birthright descendant with an established bloodline shall receive 40 acres and a mule from the United States of America. A birthright descendant, number 3, a birthright descendant with an established bloodline shall be eligible to attend a historically Black college or university tuition free. Number 4, a birthright descendant with an established bloodline shall be land and property tax free of the federal, state, and local level governments. Number 5, a birthright descendant with an established bloodline shall be eligible for monetary reparations calculation based on $250,000 per generation proven. Number 6, a birthright descendant with an established bloodline shall be exempt from wholesale and retail tax. Number 7, a birthright descendant with an established bloodline shall have 100% medical coverage, in and outpatient care, prescriptions, retirement, home accommodations, and burial care with a card or account covering all the expenses. So what do you think about all that?
I wholeheartedly agree with that, and I want you to send that to me via email.
Okay.
But I agree with all the points you made. I totally agree that the descendants of chattel slavery in this country should be adequately compensated. But it's funny you bring it up, and since you had already picked the subject, we didn't talk about it. But I just want to get your thoughts on Governor Wes Moore, the only Black governor in the U.S. of A, vetoing the reparations bill in Maryland.
You said it already.
I know you can't go beyond just opening your mouth and going, I can't believe this.
No,
the Black governor of Maryland just vetoed reparations legislation passed by his state legislature.
That goes to show that
a Black governor,
how Black you are, and the higher you go, the whiter you get. We have Black people in high places, and they're in those high places because they've turned their back on Black, and that's why they are there.
That's a good example right there.
There's no way we as normal Black citizens, true citizens of America, can say that we follow those people. Even though he's the only one, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be the only one. He wants to be the only one.
Well, after seeing that, I've been arguing that we should try a Black state, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Given that situation,
I'd love to have that Black state, but I do know as we've done.
Given what Wes Moore just did, why would it matter? If we our
show can go on for a day or two, but when you start talking about having a Black state, every single time it brings up the same issue of what we have to deal with. We had Black townships that created total annihilation of the townships by white folks, because when we can pull together a city that contains everything from a dog walking park to a medical treatment facility, we've established what we have set out to establish for ourselves by ourselves, and it's about jealousy now because no white man wants to see you do better than them. And if you got a whole city flourishing like that, when your money's circulating 16 times opposed to a 1/3 time here today in your community, you have something. And when you make one thing, when you get too successful as a black man, I'm reading the books again, 1619, and we're talking about an individual, a black man who owned land. He started the first trucking company in Georgia, and he went to buy gas, and they wouldn't sell him gas at the white station, so he put a gas pump at his own retail store and started selling gas to black people, taking all the black business from the white man. So they set out to kill this man. They killed him right in front of his store, and nobody was ever charged. They took his land, they took his money, they took everything he had, and his whole family disappeared. Only one, he had 12 children. Only one of his children was able to get a college degree, which his goal was to get everybody a college degree, and he was only get one. He sent his kids to Birmingham, Alabama, to go to school because he didn't want them in agriculture. Mm-hmm. And that's what he had to do to get his kids smarter than him, because he was not educated. But he had created all these businesses, all this wealth. The white man got jealous, so they shot him down right in front of his store and killed him, and then they took everything he had. And the same with black folks owning land. A white man in this book, 1619, a white man staked out 25 feet of the black man's land and said, if you cross this line, I'm gonna shoot your ass. He took his land, took the black man's land. Then, since the black man said, all right, I ain't gonna cross that line because I don't want to get shot, he went to the courthouse and filed trespassing charges on the black man on his own damn land, on the black man's land. So the police sheriff locked him up, picked him up, and then he asked the sheriff, well, why are you locking me up? So the sheriff beat him, he beat him to death because he asked him why was he being picked up. And then the same week, they took the rest of the black man's land and his cattle and his house, everything in his house, and made his family leave the country or leave the county or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, black people are so afraid to be successful and stay black that we are willing to forget about everybody beneath us once we reach a certain pinnacle. And that's what's happening with our black folks today. The NAACP, I love the NAACP and how they've lasted for ages, for 100 years. But the bottom line is, the NAACP ain't never been for black people. The NAACP is for colored people, and we are not colored people. So that's just something they want to tie to us and say, well, we got a black organization standing for us and our rights, and all the black people are joining it. But the NAACP, whatever it is, ain't about shit. I'm just being honest. And I am a member, by the way. I pay my dues every year. And I'm going to stay a member. But the NAACP ain't shit. All they doing is going through the motions, because anybody who stands for us as a culture is dead. Anybody. And because the NAACP ain't dead, they not standing for us. They standing for America. So with that, I'm going to give you an opportunity to close us out, Claude.
Well, it's the Black News Network where we speak truth to power, and that power is going to have to come from each and every one of our individual listeners, because you don't get this kind of news and this kind of perspective nowhere else on the internet. We bring a perspective that makes you think, that makes you kind of wrestle with tradition within the black community, because change is going to have to come one person at a time. So hopefully the information we
Claude froze. Go ahead.
Go ahead. This is Black News Network, where we continue to try to speak truth to power.
All right, I want to say thank you to my co-host, Mr. Claude Foster. We will see you on our next episode next week, and hopefully, I hope we can talk about us walking into a nightmare. Have a good day, Mr. Claude. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting live every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. If you have a topic or if you have a subject that you like, please let us know. We would love to hear your comments in the comment section on Facebook, The War Report, or even on YouTube, the Black News Network, BNN 247. So I ask that each of you who joined in today to hear what we had to say, subscribe to us on YouTube, like us and comment us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and anywhere else there may be some social media. Look for us on TikTok as well. We want to say thank you so much for joining BNN 247 this Sunday afternoon. We look forward to seeing you again next week.